right, good morning, my dearest friends. It's good to see you all, truly. So, you guys made it, huh? Congratulations to all the members of the class of 2021. A sincere and heartfelt celebration is in order from us, the adult community, to you, our fearless warriors of the pandemic class of 2021. You know, I remember vividly last year all sorts of celebrities who came out of the woodwork to offer advice to the class of 2020. Meanwhile, you guys were finishing up your junior year, trying to figure out how to take the SATs and the ACTs. As it turns out, you mostly didn't. Just what was happening with your APs. As I recall, they were kind of weird and somewhat not useful, much like a lot of school during the pandemic. I'm wondering whether or not your college admission process would be affected by all those kids who decided to defer their applications to this year. Spoiler alert, it was. So, as far as I'm concerned, you guys were the real workhorses this past year. And here's the moment where I say that we got Oprah, or we got Steph Curry, and they're here to offer some well wishes for all of you. But we didn't. And they haven't. Instead, you get me, and you get Mr. Denby. So obviously, disappointment once again. But at least we're in person, right? At least we're in person. So last week, Mr. Hanran asked me to share some thoughts with you and some words of wisdom. I am entirely uncertain if I have either one of those things for you. But my initial inclination was to return to an exercise that all of you have just completed, my own social ethics senior comp from the year 2000. I thought to myself, what would I like to say to an 18-year-old Kery if I had a time machine? So, as you can probably see, I was definitely shook up 21 years ago about leaving prep. Truthfully, I really didn't know if anything would ever be better than high school. And I know as you sit here today, not all of you relate to this sentiment. And I want you to know that that's okay. But some of you may, and I would go so far as to say some of you do. And it's my hope that regardless of how you feel right now, that something I have to say will sink in. So, dear Kery 2000, I want you to know first and foremost that there are some amazing things ahead of you. First, you're going to head off to college, and you're going to meet some wonderful people who will change your life. You're going to learn who you are and what you love. Many people and places are going to challenge what you've known up until right now. And that's a good thing. You're going to laugh and you're going to cry, but most of all, you're going to grow. 4 years from now, you'll be preparing to graduate once again. And that too will be a major transition. But, again, a good one. Everything that you've been working for in your life that's so wide open to you, and now you're finally going to have an opportunity to apply all the amazing things that you've learned to the real world. And let me tell you something, that is awesome. But don't forget that you have to keep on learning from those who have more experience than you, as well as from those that you're leading. And maybe someday you'll find a person who challenges you and supports you all at the same time. And if you're very, very lucky, you want to build a life with that person so that you never stop growing and that you never stop learning. So, 18-year-old Kery, don't worry, buddy. I know that you truly believe that this point in your life in high school was the pinnacle. But it doesn't have to be. You have so much opportunity and wonder ahead of you. And as long as you approach each day with the optimism and excitement that you brought to your high school days, I think you might just be okay. And I know it's kind of trite and cliche, but don't be afraid to take chances. And especially don't be afraid to fail. Be sure to do some things that terrify you and some things that you're not quite positive what the outcomes will be. Taking those chances might just lead to some of the best moments of your life. But for now, and more specifically to the class of 2021, please be sure to enjoy this moment. You've accomplished great things. And I want you to know from the depths of my heart that we are very, very proud of you. Soon you'll be off to a new community and a new life. But for just this one moment in time, allow yourself to really take in each and every second of this celebration of you. As you go off, keep in mind that we are always, always here for you. All of your teachers, all of your classmates, and every member of this school community. You have a home here with us, and no matter what happens, we love you. Thank you so much for the opportunity just to chat with you a little bit here today. I'm very, very thankful to hand it off to my friend and colleague, Mr. Denby, and go Prep, go Class of 2021.
I broke it. Oops. All right. All right, boys. Good afternoon, boys. It's awesome to see your faces again. It's been too long, right? It's been way too long. So, gentlemen, here we are at the end. We're almost at the end. A huge congratulations to you. I just want to reaffirm what everyone has just said. You guys have earned it. Perhaps more than any graduating class that I can personally remember. You've been through a tremendous amount, and ultimately you've succeeded, right? You guys should be hugely proud of yourselves. But now, in order to commemorate this end, I want to go back to the beginning. I want you guys to go back into time 4 years ago to when you guys were freshmen. Okay? I want you guys to recall, for some of you, Mrs. Clark's or Mrs. Woolley's, is that right? Your English classes? Yeah? Right? Remember those classes where you read, maybe, perhaps, the story of Theseus? Okay? All right? Some of you, perhaps, may remember the story of Theseus. He was the mythical founder of Athens, right? He defeated the Minotaur. Do you remember all that? Somewhat? Yes? Okay. But he achieved, he was the founder of Athens, okay? He achieved a great beginning by freeing Attic communities, which were divided and weak at the time, from the grips of a tyrannical Crete, right? He demanded every year that these communities would send 7 young men and women to be devoured by the Minotaur, right? You guys remember that in the maze, okay? Long story short, Theseus famously killed the Minotaur. He returned home, and as the hero, he united the communities to make Athens, all right? Now, to commemorate this great beginning, Athens would send the same ship to recreate Theseus' voyage in an annual sacred journey. For centuries, every year, this same ship would take the same voyage that Theseus apparently took. But roughly 400 years later, Socrates wondered something that perhaps you will learn about in your Philosophy 101 courses next year. He wondered, after all those years, whether Theseus' ship was in fact still Theseus' ship. Socrates noted that in the hundreds of voyages that ship had undergone, planks of wood, oars, sails, bolts, masts, all those things had been damaged or rotten and had gone to be replaced. Eventually, every single piece of that ship had been replaced to the very last bolt. Socrates asked, if not one original part existed, with what right could we still then call it Theseus' ship? This is what is called Theseus' paradox. It came up in, do you guys see that, what is that show? One Division, thank you. It came up in One Division, thank you. Yes, okay? So this same paradox, mind you, can be applied to all things. Let's just take prep, for example. All right? Its founders, its original teachers no longer walk these halls. Old buildings have been demolished. New ones have been raised. Thousands of students have come and gone. They have cheered in the bomb squad, taken Kairos, played in state championships, and graduated just like you. Planks, masts, oars have slowly been replaced over the decades. With all these changes, Socrates would ask, how do you still call Fairfield Prep Fairfield Prep? The same could be said about you, gentlemen. Think of all the changes you have undergone from the boys you were on the first day of your freshman year. Physically, you are all obviously very different. Those portraits at lunchtime showed that. I can't believe that was you, Santo. All right. But more importantly, think of the beliefs that have been replaced. Think of the new skills you've acquired, the friendships you've lost and made, the memories that have been made and have faded and have even been lost. The facts you have memorized and forgotten, the games that have been won and lost. Think of the classes, experiences, and everything else that have shaped you into the men you are today. Little by little, plank by plank, oar by oar, you have all become very different human beings to the ones you were 4 years ago. With all these fundamental changes, how do we call any of you by the same name? Clearly the names matter, right? Theseus' ship, Fairfield Prep, your particular names are important. But the names are not enough, right? The name doesn't make the man, rather the man makes the name, right? Let me suggest that we look back to Theseus' ship for some help here. If that ship, instead of making it its annual sacred journey, instead became a merchant ship or a pleasure cruise, would it still be held to be Theseus' ship? I would think that with the passage of time and with the continual replacement of its part, that ship would eventually be forgotten, lost. It would cease to exist. It would lose its name. In other words, what made Theseus' ship was not its material parts, but its mission, what it stood for. So long as it made its annual sacred journey that commemorated Athens' beginning, it could withstand the centuries of rot and decay and replacement. The same applies to Prep. Prep could move to a campus down the road tomorrow and still be Fairfield Prep. But only so long as it stuck to its Jesuit mission, so long as it continued to edify young men in a Jesuit tradition. The moment Fairfield Prep abandons that mission, it ceases to be itself, even with all its fancy new buildings and labs. The same applies to you, gentlemen, and all of us. We continue to be who we are because we stand for something, because we have a mission, because we have something greater than ourselves that we devote ourselves to. Without that stable mission, we become slaves to time. We become completely shaped by our surroundings, nothing ourselves. I suppose this is what we mean when we say that we've lost ourselves. We've given into our surroundings in such a way as to become completely shaped by them, losing our integrity and our mission. And where do we find that important mission, guys? As I think both the examples of Prep and Theseus' ship indicate, it seems that we get them from our beginnings. Our beginnings, whether it be our country, our communities, our schools, our families, shape us into who we are. These are the beginnings that give us the mission that will guide us through the rest of our lives. By the way, this is why I think superhero origin stories are so important. Their beginnings shape their mission. Batman would not be Batman without his beginning, right? We are all, in an important sense, our beginnings. And so, gentlemen, you guys are about to embark on a new beginning. You are about to embark on open seas, and you will, I guarantee, change just as much, if not more, in the next 4 years than you did the last. Many more masts and planks will be wrought, break, and be replaced. But it is our hope here at Prep that as you venture off onto your new beginning, that you stay true to the beginnings that have made you into the man you are today. All right, thank you.